resignation due to a scheduling conflict. Todd would still like to answer questions from the press and the audience, so we will move forward. Todd, would you give us a 2-minute update?
Absolutely. Well, good evening. The Office of the Solicitor General is one of the most important parts of any community's criminal justice system, but it's also one of the least noticed and least well understood. Solicitors General are prosecutors. We do in the state court the exact same job your district attorney does in the superior court. The difference is that we handle lower level crimes like DUI, family violence, some drug crimes, everything all the way down to animal control and zoning enforcement. We're the prosecutors that average citizens are going to come in contact with the most, thanks to things like traffic citations that we deal with every week. And that means that we have the responsibility of doing the job right, because the public's faith in our criminal justice system depends on the impression they take away from us. That thing is feeding back like that.
She said, Todd, do you want to
switch?
This one we knew we were having a problem with.
I just go where my name is. Part 2. I first became a prosecutor when I was 26 years old. I placed my hand on a Bible held by my wife, and I swore to protect and defend the constitutions of the United States and the state of Georgia. And since that time, prosecution's become more than a job to me. It's been my passion and my purpose. But since coming back here to Cherokee County 2.5 years ago, it's become even more. You see, 4 of my 5 kids were born right here. They play ball, they go to gymnastics and band right here. My wife's parents live and worship here. My parents go to church here. My dearest friends are here. I drive on the streets I help protect. I play in the parks where our crimes happen. And in some way, every one of you has helped welcome me into this Cherokee County family, and I literally, at this point in my career as your chief assistant, live to serve you. But that kind of passion and desire can only take you so far. This office is too important to be entrusted to someone who does not have the training, the knowledge, and the experience, and especially experience in the trenches, to be a leader, not just in our office, but in our community. And I can say this humbly because God has blessed me and it has nothing to do with me, but I fit that bill. And I say that with no personal pride. I've prosecuted all over the state, and I've learned firsthand what works in a prosecutor's office and what doesn't work. I've spent 5 years traveling the entire state training other prosecutors and other police officers how to do this job and how to excel at it. And along the way, I've had to stand up for what was right, even when it wasn't popular. I've had to endure being called unreasonable, unfeeling, mean-spirited, and a whole lot worse. And some of that happened today. But you know what? I don't much care, because that is a prosecutor's job. As Winston Churchill once said, if you have enemies, good. That means you stood for something sometime in your life. So here's my promise to you, the citizens of Cherokee County. I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea what cases will come my way, what challenges my office will face, or what I'll be asked to do as your next Solicitor General, but I know this. Every day, my staff and I will do the job the right way. We will tell the truth to you, and we will tell the truth for you. We will do all we can to protect you and your families, and we will always, always stand up for you, because that, too, is a prosecutor's job. My name is Todd Hayes, and I need your support and your vote to become your next Solicitor General.
Questions, you need to get them turned in now. Chris, would you begin with your questions?
Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Happy to do it.
The first question I have for you is, how important do you feel the endorsement of the current solicitor should be to the voters of Cherokee County?
If it was just the endorsement of the current Solicitor General, that would be one thing. I think you have to look at the person and the body of work that that person embodies. Jessica Moss is a career prosecutor herself. By the time she retires next December, she'll take 34 years of experience with her. She has worked in the Northeastern Circuit. She's recognized across our state as a leader in crimes against women and children. She currently serves on our state's Sexual Offender Registry Board. She is everything that a good prosecutor should aspire to be. So that's why it means a lot to me, and that's why it should mean a lot to the voters, not because it's just an endorsement, but because of who that endorsement comes from and what she stood for 34 years.
So if you're elected, I mean, you've been in the office, of course, under Ms. Moss for time, and is there anything that you would change if you were elected and you assume the top position?
Certainly. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to do things their own way. The first thing I would do, and I say this very respectfully, understanding that the first thing I told Jessica when I came into her office is my job is to do whatever the heck it is you tell me to do, as if I was you standing there. But there are things I would change, specifically in the pretrial diversion program. I would look at that and make some alterations and tweaks around that. I've got some thoughts on that. Obviously, right now, and the way the current administration is, I'm not going to do anything but what she tells me to do under the current system until it's time. So that is the way it's going to go until the time comes. But there's some thoughts I have about pretrial diversion. I've also got some thoughts about, I think when you hire assistants, you hire them because you trust them, and you entrust them with your authority to do the job in the courtroom. And I've got some thoughts about how those people become more empowered to do the job that you ask them to, and have to do less checking up the command chain to make sure that they're doing their jobs. And I think that's a function of training, which is actually something that's in my wheelhouse. It's training. I've done that all over the state for a long time. So those are two.
This might be actually a follow-up question to that to some extent, but can you give some specifics of what you might do to address the recidivism rate in the system here?
Fortunately, some of the crimes that we face that have the highest recidivism rates, both nationally and in our community, I can't take any credit for this, this has already been addressed. Our accountability courts sees very targeted populations of people. Our DUI court is focused on alcohol and drug addicts. Our Veterans Score program that started this year is focused on veterans who are reentering society and are having a hard time readjusting. Our drug court program is focused on misdemeanor marijuana possession because we see that as a gateway drug. Our treatment accountability court focuses on people whose crimes come out of mental health issues. All of those things kind of move towards addressing that. And fortunately, we've had very good support here in Cherokee County for those programs. I know that off the top of my head, the statistics related to the DUI court, from what I understand, in the 12-year history of the DUI court, and my assistant David Mapier is back there, he takes a good bit of credit for this. The recidivism rate, from what I understand, is down to 13% in the second and third time DUI offenses, thanks to that program. We will continue to support that, and we will continue to offer ways for people to, and I've said this 1,000 times, at our level, you have the opportunity to change someone's behavior before it escalates. We're going to continue to offer those opportunities, understanding that step one is accountability, and step two is how do we fix the problem.
Are there any other accountability courts that don't exist that should?
Accountability courts are targeted and addressed at specific populations that have a problem with recidivism or have a problem changing those life behaviors. So I would need to do some more digging into our own numbers. I wouldn't recommend an accountability court for local ordinances, I know that. That wouldn't be my first thought, no. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. Those population bases are the common population bases that are used as treatment courts across the country. I would certainly be open to suggestions, and if there are statistics to support it, we can certainly look at it.
Have you been very involved in DUI-related offenses, prosecution, et cetera, over the years? I know things have changed as far as our county is concerned, but is DUI still the biggest problem that's being addressed in your office today?
It's certainly one of the most common problems that we see. I ran the numbers on that today just to check. Last year, in 2017, we closed 582 DUI cases, and we dealt with 983 additional traffic cases, some of which I am certain are reckless driving cases that were reduced from DUI. So in total, we're seeing that looks like 16% of what we handle. If you look at just traffic, it's 27. The thing that scares me about traffic safety these days is not just DUI alcohol, it's DUI drugs. If you look at the statistics nationwide, for about the last 15 years, we've had a real good handle on alcohol DUI. It stayed right about 25% of roadway fatalities across the board, across the country. That's not the case with drug driving. Drug driving is exploding. And it's a problem, and I think the Sheriff would agree with me about this. It's probably a function of our opioid epidemic as much as anything else. Those are the types of substances we're seeing. The other area, if there's a close second, or maybe even coming in tied for first, is distraction. If you've noticed, I don't know how many of you take a look at those billboards that are all over the interstates when you drive by, and you take a look at the numbers. If you've noticed, in about 2012, those numbers started hiking back up. We had gotten it down statewide to about 1,000. We were just hovering around the 1,000 mark. Last year, it was in excess of 1,400 statewide traffic fatalities. And the percentage increase is not an impairment, it's not in speed, it's in distraction. So distracted driving has to be a focus. I'm not saying we need to necessarily change the law, but we absolutely have to find ways to enforce the law. And there's some creative options that we're already using in the county that I think increased usage of those options could help do that.
Could you describe some of those options?
Sure. It was right at the time I was leaving the Prosecuting Attorney's Council as the Traffic Safety Resource Prosecutor. Nationwide, there was an innovation called nighttime seatbelt enforcement. And what they would do is they would basically stand on corners at night when you could see into the vehicle. Police officers dressed in plain clothes, wearing a badge, and you could just look into the car in plain view and see if they're seatbelted or not. That really helps you, enforce seatbelt laws and encourage people to wear those laws. Well, the natural outgrowth of that, the next thing, if you can see somebody's seatbelt on or off, the next thing you can see is this. So they took the exact same tactic, and they've done that here in the county, just looking in cars. And that absolutely helps distraction, because otherwise, those guys on the road have a hard time at 40 miles an hour cruising opposite directions, seeing somebody on that cell phone. But those new innovative tactics like that outgrowth of nighttime seatbelt enforcement, that could absolutely work.
So you talked about the endorsement of not just the office, but the person, as far as your current boss is concerned. But how do you feel working with her, your experience, your current capacity, how does that qualify you to take over as leadership of that office?
Sure. In terms of my current position, I think first of all, I've got established relationships with our law enforcement. I've got established relationships with our judges, with our courtroom staff. And I've helped Jessica hire something on the order of half to 3/4 of the staff that we currently employ. So those relationships are in place. And I think having been through the budgetary process, having been through the human relations challenges, human resource challenges, having walked beside the people that do the good work for us day in and day out, I love those guys. They look to me for leadership already. And I'm happy to provide it. And I think having that established relationship is a big part of it. The other thing, though, going one step back to my time as a traffic safety resource prosecutor, I was responsible for a multi-$1,000 federal grant and had to account for it and track every penny of it and know where everything went. That is a big part of what you do as an administrator in a law firm, an administrator in a prosecutor's office. You have to know where those dollars are going. You have to know how you're using your people resources. You have to allocate them properly, because I don't know if anybody's thought about this. It's a government office. Our resources are pretty darn limited. And if you don't use them correctly, you don't know how to use them. You're going to find yourself in a world of hurt very quickly. It's very, and Jessica's been a great example of that, how to squeeze every penny out of that limited budget.
You mentioned that Office of Solicitor General is one of the least known or understood by the public offices. Does the office have community outreach programs now, or would it benefit from those to make the public more aware of the
I think we're pretty involved in the community as it is, and that's, again, thanks to our staff. We have an Assistant Solicitor, Rachel Ash, who keeps us on the forefront of community involvement, and that starts with involvement in the bar. She's the recent bar past president. The current bar vice president works in our office. She's a member of the Service League. She keeps us on track with things like the Angel Tree program. So we are certainly out there, and the people that we interact with absolutely know who we are and what we do and what we stand for. On a larger scale, you want to know what I blame the whole thing on? Y'all know that. In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two equally important groups. Police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the police. Are they the only ones? No. That's where the problem originates. The DA gets the big crimes, gets the higher profile exposure, and come on, most of the time, every Wednesday, what are we dealing with? Speeding tickets, and I don't care how excited you are about it, it's still just a speeding ticket. Cool. Did I talk too long?
No, I'm thinking, depends on how long you spend on these questions, we might get them all in. What does the Solicitor General do within our judicial system? And in your current position, how has this prepared you to be Solicitor General? Todd, you may go first.
You know, we've already heard tonight that Cherokee County's motto is it's a great place to live, work, and play. I kind of think of the solicitor's office in terms of our judicial system of taking the cherry and putting it on top. Our district attorney's office does a fantastic job of keeping us safe from the big nightmares. They handle the murders, the robberies, the rapes, the arsons, everything that is really, really dangerous, they keep us safe from. But you know what? If you want to live in a place, you got to go one step beyond you're just okay to walk the streets. You want to have a great place to live. You want to have a place where the parks are clean, where you can get in your car and not worry about being plowed over by an impaired driver, where you can take your kid to the store and buy him a toy and knowing you're paying the cheapest price possible for that thing because somebody had shoplifted from it over the last year. Those are things that make this place great to live in, and we have a heritage of that here in Cherokee County. So the solicitor's role in the system is to take the cherry and put it on top and keep the promise that our commissioners make, and that is to make this a great place to be, not just a safe place to be. In terms of how my career has prepared me for that, like I say, I've spent 15 years doing this job, 5 of them as the state's traffic safety resource prosecutor. And I've been accused of tallying convictions. I couldn't tell you how many convictions I've had in a career. I couldn't figure out how to look them up if I wanted to. And in terms of that job at the Prosecuting Attorney's Council, that was 5 years, a third of my career, where I didn't have a chance of getting a single one because my job wasn't in the courtroom, it was to train. So that's just not true. But all of those experiences put me in a place where I know what the job is, I know what the job's supposed to look like. I've been surrounded by heroes in the profession like Jessica Moss, frankly, like some of the DAs around us, like Danny Porter, Pete Scandalakis, some real heroes. Those are my heroes, and that's who I want to be when I grow up, and that's who I'm going to serve you as if I was them.
How do you feel about the bail reform movement letting misdemeanor offenders out on a citation? Furthermore, please elaborate on victims' rights in those circumstances.
Okay. I think the second part of the question is actually the most important part of the question, because victims' rights have to come first to a prosecutor, because we are the ones charged with standing up for victims who don't have a voice. And if we put that second part of the question, if we put it second, we have completely abandoned our responsibilities. I won't do that. How does that fit into bail? First of all, I don't think that just letting somebody out on their own recognizance with no conditions is a smart idea. It's not a smart idea for the victims. It's not a smart idea for the justice system in terms of being able to track them. It's certainly not a smart idea for public safety. Under state law, misdemeanors are entitled, given a right to bail at $1,000 per charge. That is their legal right. If they choose to use a bail bondsman, that number comes down significantly. So it's not like we're asking misdemeanors to pay an exorbitant amount of money as it is in order to get out of jail on that initial release. That also gives us a chance to put those conditions in place, be able to monitor them, and give some assurance to those victims before that case comes to trial that, hey, yeah, we really are with you, we really are standing beside you, and we're going to walk you through this process. And we have the means, because of that bond, to protect you if this guy decides he wants to do something else, or girl, in the meantime. So I would view that reform with an open mind, but with a mind that I guess has been around the block enough to know that not everything is as good as it sounds on paper.
How do you feel about asset forfeiture or DUI recidivists to help pay for DUI court?
That's a non-issue. Asset forfeiture is something that is handled by the district attorney's office. It is not something that the Solicitor General has any statutory authority over whatsoever, so it's a complete non-starter. I could love it, I could hate it, it doesn't matter to me.
Do you have an opinion on the proposed distracted driving or hands-free bill currently in the General Assembly?
I've seen the bill. Frankly, I'm kind of of two minds about it. I can look at it both as a citizen and I can look at it as a prosecutor. And from one hand, I see that there is very much an argument of why do we need to be more specific when we already have a general distraction law. I can see that point. On the other hand, like I said, the statistics are there that show the increase in traffic fatalities in Georgia and nationwide are related to distraction. The current bill was not a bad start to the conversation. It's a conversation we've got to keep having, and we've got to come up with meaningful solutions.
Thank you, Chris, for your questions. Thank you, audience, for yours as well. Todd, would you give us your close?
Sure. So this is what it all comes down to. At the end of this year, Jessica Moss is going to retire and take 34 years of experience as a prosecutor with her to the mountains. So your question as Cherokee County voters is what should replace it? Do you replace experience with experience, or do you replace experience with on-the-job training? Do you replace one proven statewide leader with another proven statewide leader with a track record to prove it? Or do you accept less than the absolute best that our families and children deserve? Do you replace one career prosecutor with another career prosecutor who is dedicated to making sure that you never take a back seat to anyone who would put your safety in danger? Or do you allow the focus to shift to the offenders, to protecting their rights and their interests first? Those are serious questions. They are questions that are posed directly by this election. And if you put my resume up beside my opponent's resume and look at it point for point, the choice becomes clear. It's got nothing to do with me. I've been blessed. God has blessed me with a family and children who deserve career opportunities I could never dream of. Certainly not this. But I am ready to take on the challenges for you because I believe in this county. I want to keep you safe, and I want you to live in Mayberry. And hopefully, if I do my job right, you'll never know we're here. Thank you very much.